Hello and welcome to the Week 7 edition of the NFL Contest Show. It's me again, your host, Jesse Flynn. Well, Week 6, we had a pretty productive week. Ended up going 4-1. I did end up swapping out one of the picks. I did put it in the comments. I took the Colts off the card after they made the announcement that both of their running backs were going to be out, Taylor and Hines. I replaced them with the Bengals, but in the end, both of those teams ended up winning and covering the spread, so it wouldn't have mattered either way. It was the Cleveland Browns that ended up spoiling the perfect week, but 4-0, I'll take it. And just so you know, I do bet these games, and just because I took the Colts off of the card, that doesn't mean that I'm switching my pick. I still like the Colts in that game. I didn't buy off my bet. I just didn't have the same confidence to make them one of my 5 contest plays. So just know that if I'm going to change a bet or I think a team is the wrong side, I'll make sure I put that in the comments as well. So just a little housekeeping there. But again, went 4-1 last week. So overall, this for the season, we're sitting at 20-10. That's 66.7%. So we're in the prime position right now after a third of the contest to be sitting so close to the top 100. Right now, I think I'm ranked tied for 220th place. So not that far off. Only 5 points behind first place, and there's only one person with 25 points. So I could definitely move myself up into that top 100 with a strong week. And also the second quarter prize, we're sitting at 7-3. So if a strong week this week, we could certainly move ourselves up into a prime position with only 2 more weeks to go in the second quarter. But week 7, there's certainly some difficult games to choose from. We've got some matchups between some equally matched teams, and then they've also got the line set pretty tough. They've got some 7s, some 3s, 6.5s, and 8. So, there's some interesting lines where you're going to have to decide, is the favorite going to win by more than a touchdown? Are they that good? Or is the underdog going to, be able to keep it close? So I've gone through the games for this week. I picked out my 5. Now, obviously, these are always flexible, and if there is any changes, I'll put that in the comments below. But let's get into it and see what 5 games I like for Week 7 of the NFL season. So the first game is the Indianapolis Colts, plus 2.5, going on the road to take on the Tennessee Titans. Now, these two teams played just a couple weeks ago, and the Titans were able to win that game after causing a couple of turnovers, and I think they won by 7 points in Indianapolis. But this is a totally different team. They're really starting to get healthy along the offensive line, and now they're going to be having both of their running backs back, Taylor and Hines, as well as they're getting a few pieces back on defense. I believe Leonard and Kwity Paye are both going to be back. They've both been practicing this week. So this looks like this is going to be a much stronger Colts team than the one that faced off against this Tennessee Titans team a couple of weeks ago. And these are division rivals. They know each other pretty well. They know what their tendencies are. They know how each other wants to play, and they know how to game plan against it. And the Titans, they're coming off a bye, but they haven't really been all that great this year. They're lacking in the wide receiver department, so they're being really reliant on Derrick Henry, and people aren't biting as much on the play action as they were, like, say, last year when they had A.J. Brown out there. So they can really load the box up and try to stop the run game, which, again, makes the play action less effective. Ryan Tannehill, he's been okay, but, he's not great. He still does, throw some interceptions and make some ill-advised plays. And, I just think that it's really difficult to beat, a division rival twice in one season, even if you already beat them at home. According to Pool Genius from Action Network, this is their stat. Since 2008, if a home team was a favorite of 4 or less and lost, and then the following week or the following game, the home team is also a favorite of 4 or less, in that matchup where they were the home team in the second game won the first game. I believe they're 14-23 against the spread and 16-21 straight up. So that means, it just shows you, even if the team A won on the road the first game, it doesn't mean they're going to win the home game in the second game, because again, it's just hard to beat division rivals twice in one season because these teams know each other so well. And I just think the Colts, they've got confidence coming off their the last couple of wins. They pulled one off last week against Jacksonville. I believe they had like 29 first downs in that game. So, the offense was clicking. The defense kind of struggled, but again, they're getting back a couple of key players. So I think it's really going to strengthen this team. Stephon Gilmore, he was banged up, but he's going to be playing as well. So I just like the Colts' opportunity here. And again, division rivals, so I'm going to take the point. So for my first game, give me the Indianapolis Colts plus 2.5. The second game that I like is the Jacksonville Jaguars -3 at home taking on the New York Giants. The Giants, they're a real feel-good story this season. They've started out 5-1. They've pulled off some miraculous comebacks in some of these wins leading up to this point. But I think that the glass slipper is going to finally fall off their foot in this game, and they're gonna take the loss here in Jacksonville. They're really reliant on Barkley. And I think that going up against this Jacksonville defense, they're pretty stout against the run. They tackle well. They've got really good defensive front. They've got good linebackers. So I just don't know if the Giants are going to be able to run the ball as prolifically as they have in the last few games. They definitely can get after the quarterback, and I don't think Daniel Jones is going to be able to pass his way out of this game, which is what I think Jacksonville will try to make them do, try to make Daniel Jones beat them with his arm. They really don't. They're still banged up in the wide receiver department. So the Giants are just, they've been living on turnovers. The defense up to this point, they've got 1 interception and 7 fumbles. And what we know about fumbles are they're random. They're very unpredictable. You never know when you're going to get one. So for a team to be surviving off of creating fumbles, is just something that's not always sustainable. Now, we saw the Jacksonville Jaguars. They've lost the last couple games. They took the heartbreaker against the Colts, but I was on the Colts. But again, they were putting up points against that Indianapolis defense. They're able to move the ball. Trevor Lawrence took a couple more sacks than he typically does in that game. But again, I just think that Jacksonville, they're going to be able to run the ball against this Giants defense. The defense is opportunistic with these turnovers again, but the Giants defense really hasn't been all that great, up to this point. And I just think Jacksonville, their offense is getting some key players back. I think they're getting all their wide receivers that have been banged up are all healthy now. So I think this Doug Peterson will have his team ready to play, and I just think that this is when, the Giants, they're 5-1 right now, but I think they're going to come back to earth a little bit when they go down to Florida and have to play in there, outdoors, and play against a defense that I think will be able to slow down Barkley enough to, not really let them score. We've seen the Giants in previous games struggle to score when they get down in the red zone. And I think that the Jacksonville offense will be able to put up points against this defense. Trevor Lawrence be able to use his legs. Obviously, Robinson and Etienne, and then their wide receivers. So I just think there's too much firepower on the Jacksonville side, and I just think this is when, the Giants, they take that loss after, I think they've won their last 3 or 4 games. So, for my second pick, give me the Jacksonville Jaguars -3. So the third game that I like is the Pittsburgh Steelers +7 heading down to Miami to take on the Dolphins. The Dolphins are getting Tua back, but I think he's going to be a little rusty. I don't know how well he's going to play right off the bat. And I think the Miami Dolphins offense could struggle, getting their footing back after having him out for the last couple of weeks. The Dolphins have really not been able to run the ball very well. They're very reliant on the pass game. I think they're only averaging about 80 yards a game rushing. So they haven't really been able to move the ball on the ground. And again, I think that with Tua, before the concussion, the Dolphins like to run like the RPOs with Tua. And I just don't see that being something they're going to try to do because they can't afford to let him get knocked out of the game again. If he gets another concussion or anything even close to that, he's probably done for the rest of the year. So I don't know if they're going to be able to run those RPOs that they like to run and throw the short underneath routes to Tyreek and Waddle and then just let them run with the ball. And again, Pittsburgh, their defense is always sound, and they're getting back quite a few of their key defensive players this week. Minka Fitzpatrick's back. Witherspoon's back. Cameron Hayward's back. I think basically all their starters except for TJ Watt are finally coming back off the injury list this week and going to be able to play. So we're going to see a very good Pittsburgh defense going up against a rusty Miami offense, and I think that could keep the Steelers into this game. Kenny Pickett, he's looking like he's going to be able to play this week, and that's definitely a bonus for the Steelers offense because at least with him at quarterback, he can throw the ball to the outside with accuracy, which is something that Mitch kind of lacks. And the Dolphins defense is still, they haven't been all that great. They've been giving up a lot of points. Their secondary's been, pretty susceptible to, the wide receivers. So I just think Pittsburgh, they've got a real chance to win this game. The defense is going to be coming hard after Tua and making him, seeing how if they can knock him out of the game, they're going to do it. I don't think there's going to be any mercy on him just because he's coming back from a concussion. So I don't know if he's going to last the whole game, and if he does, I think they're going to beat him up pretty good in the process, and that could certainly create some turnovers and give the Pittsburgh Steelers an opportunity to win this game. The Steelers have an advantage in the special teams in this game. Their special teams is always good, so they're just in 2 out of the 3 departments of a team. I think they have the advantage. Tomlin, I think, is a better coach than McCarthy, or McDaniels. So, I just like the way it sets up for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you're giving me 7 points. Even if Miami does win this game, I don't think it'll be by more than 4. So, again, I don't know if the points are going to come right away. Everybody expects Tua to come back in and go right back to being the player he was before he took the first concussion, and I just don't see that as a reality because, again, they were running RPOs. You can't put your quarterback in a situation where he's going to get crushed faking out a defensive end, handing the ball off, because if he's faking like he's going to run, they have the right to hit him, and they're going to hit him. They're going to test him and see if they can take him out of the game. And so it definitely changes the way Miami's going to run their offense, and I think it might take them a little bit of time to get used to it. So, again, you're getting 7 points with Pittsburgh. It's a night game, so you don't have to worry about the sun beating down on the visiting team's bench like it does during the day games in Miami. So the heat and the humidity probably won't be a factor. And again, this is a game of a top-notch defense going up against an offense with a quarterback coming back after a significant injury. So for my third pick, give me the Pittsburgh Steelers +7. The fourth game that I like is the Cleveland Browns +6.5 going to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Cleveland let me down last week. They were the only game that I ended up losing, but teams are never as bad as their worst game, and I still think this Cleveland team's got a lot of potential. They're the best rushing offense in the league, and Jacoby Brissett's okay. He made some bad throws last week against the Bill Belichick defense, and Bill Belichick's done that to a lot of quarterbacks, so you got to kind of just let that one slide and move on. This is a division rivalry. They're going up against the Baltimore Ravens, who also lost last week. They actually lost their last 3 in dramatic fashion, with Lamar Jackson making some really terrible decisions towards the end of that game last week, costing his team the game. But they really weren't they really haven't put up a lot of points in their last couple games either. So they've been struggling off on the offensive side of the ball as well. And I just think that going up against Cleveland, Cleveland should be able to run the ball against this Baltimore defense, and I think their defense, they know this team. They know what they want to do. They've got a game plan to try to contain Lamar Jackson, and I think they'll be able to keep this game close. In these kind of division rivalry matchups since 2008, I think these teams if the home team is a favorite of more than 5 points, they've only covered the spread about 40% of the time. And the Baltimore Ravens in that situation have only covered the spread 8 times. They're 8-18-1 if they're a home favorite of more than 5 points against a division rival. So getting 6.5 with Cleveland, the trends say this is the side to take, and I agree with it. I think it's, when you have these division matchups, these are, field goal type of games. They're not really, they don't tend to be blowouts again because, these teams play each other twice a year. They know each other's tendencies. They have game plans set up. Cleveland knows what they want to do to try to contain Lamar Jackson. And then Baltimore's dealing with a lot of injuries right now. Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson's #1 passing target, hasn't practiced all week. So that's a tough one for this Baltimore Ravens offense that's already been struggling to score points the last couple of weeks. And Cleveland looks like they're getting a few of their defensive players back. Clowney didn't play last week, but he's been participating in practices this week, so it looks like he's going to be playing. They've got a couple of offensive linemen on the injury report, but it looks like they've been practicing since up till Thursday, so it looks like they're going to be playing. Myles Garrett's going to be playing. They might be getting one of their DBs back, so I just think this is a division rivalry. It's too many points for a team to be getting 6.5. If anything, this is a 3-point game either way, so you're giving me almost a touchdown. I'm going to take it. So for my 4th pick, give me the Cleveland Browns plus 6.5. So the last game that I like is the Houston Texans plus 7 going out to Vegas to take on the Raiders. The Texans and the Raiders, they're both coming off their bye week. So the Texans are almost completely healthy team. The Raiders are still dealing with a lot of injuries, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. Collins, their wide receiver, Renfro, their wide receiver, Waller, their tight end, and their other tight end, Moreau, have not practiced up to Thursday. So it's not looking good for these guys to be part of the offense this week. And I think, Lovie Smith, he'll have his defense ready to play. The offense has been okay. I mean, they've only got 4 interceptions and 12 sacks on the year. So, I mean, they're not putting up a lot of points, but they're also not turning the ball over, and they're not getting their quarterback killed. So, they've been able to run the ball with Dameon Pierce, and I think they'll be able to run the ball against the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders they're built to rush the passer. They're not really built to stop the run. We've seen teams run on this defense earlier in the season, and I think that's going to be the strategy that Lovie Smith's going to go with, and then maybe look to run some play action to the tight ends over the middle, on some of those seam routes that open up. That's like what the Kansas City Chiefs have done with Kelsey against this same defense. Again, the Raiders, they're missing a lot of pieces on offense, and even though they've got some big name, superstars on their offense, if teams can focus their best players and maybe double team them, and then force like Derek Carr to have to rely on other players to make plays, they might be able to keep this game close. And again, it's 7 points. That's a lot of points. They're coming off the bye, so again, they're healthy, and I just think that they've got a real opportunity to win this game. Lovie Smith is always going to have his team up and ready to play, and we're going to see if they can, win this game outright. But again, with it getting a touchdown, I just think that's too many points for the Raiders to be giving up. They haven't shown that they can blow any teams out. All their games have been very close, mostly one-score games. So, again, the back door is always open when you're getting 7 points. So for my 5th and final pick, give me the Texans plus 7. So those are my 5 picks for Week 7 of the NFL season. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It'll certainly help out the channel. Got go over to deadmoneymedia.com and subscribe to our email. If you're not already subscribed, you missed out. Last week we hit a plus 3,000 college football parlay. It was Tennessee money line, Michigan State money line, and University of Kentucky money line. So it paid 30 to 1. It was quite the win. So head on over to deadmoneymedia.com and sign up for the email so you can get all those other bets that I don't give out on the YouTube channel. But now it's time for the contest parlay. This week we're going with the Indianapolis Colts money line plus 122. Jacksonville Jaguars -3, the Pittsburgh Steelers +7, the Cleveland Browns +6.5, and the Houston Texans +7. Put those 5 teams in a parlay, and it pays out plus 3,200, so 32 to 1. So it'll be a really nice weekend if we can finally get that 5-0 and hit the contest parlay. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching, joining me all the way up to this point through the first third of the contest. Hopefully we can continue with the success that we've had up to this point. Eventually we're going to hit one of those parlays. The college football parlay, it took me 7 weeks before I finally was able to hit that big winner with that 3 home dogs. And this week, hopefully we can pull it off with a bunch of underdogs. Maybe they can all come together and keep it within the point spread and finally give us that 5-0 week. Well, to everybody out there, I hope everybody makes a lot of money this weekend. I hope you win all your bets, and thanks for watching.